Hello, dear students. Welcome back to our news channel. Today, we are going to talk about a very important event happening in the world, which is ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Now, you may have heard the words ceasefire, hostages, and even war in the news recently. But today I'll break it all down for you so you can understand why this is important and not just for the people involved, but for the whole world. So let's start by understanding what this conflict is all about. See, Gaza. Now, for this particular news article, you need to have a map in front of you. Okay, so what is Gaza? Basically, Gaza Strip is a small piece of land located between Israel and Egypt, and and this Gaza Strip is home to about 2 million Palestinians. So around 2 million, uh, yes, 2 million Palestinians are living in the Gaza Strip. Now, over the years, there have been many fights between Israel and Hamas. Hamas is what? Hamas is the group that controls Gaza. Now, these fights have caused a lot of pain and suffering for people on both sides. Last year, on October 7, 2023, what happened? Hamas launched a big attack in which about a big attack on Israel that killed about 1,200 people. So, in response, Israel began bombing Gaza. And this fighting went on for 15 months and it was devastating. Over 46,000 Palestinians were killed, and almost everyone living in Gaza had to leave their homes because it was too dangerous to stay. So, the international community, including countries like the US, Egypt, and Qatar, tried many times to bring an end to the violence, but it took over a year to reach an agreement. क्योंकि इतना ज़्यादा devastating था, 46,000 लोगों, मतलब आप ये इमेजिन कीजिए कि इतने सारे लोगों की डेथ हो गई है, इतने सारे लोग अपने घरों से डिस्प्लेस हो गए हैं, रहने का कोई ठिकाना नहीं है, क्योंकि अपने घर में नहीं रह सकते थे, बॉम्बिंग हो रही थी चारों, दोनों तरफ से, दोनों साइड से इतना ज़्यादा devastating था कि international communities and countries like US, Egypt and they tried to intervene many time, and they have started saying कि अब बहुत हो गया है, इस violence को end करना चाहिए, और ये करते करते ये एक साल हो गया तब तक ये agreement reach होने के लिए. Now the question is, what is the ceasefire agreement? uh, First of all, what ceasefire means? A ceasefire is like a truce where both sides agree to stop fighting, that they're not going to fight anymore. So the deal between Israel and Hamas are, it has three stages, or you can call phases. So it has three phases. सबसे पहले phase 1 में क्या होगा कि Hamas will release. Yes, the deal is implemented in three phases. And in the first phase, what will happen? Hamas will release 33 hostages. And Israel, in return, will free about 1,000 Palestinians prisoners. Okay? And apart from this, Israel will also allow humanitarian aid like food, water, and medicine to enter Gaza, because the people in Gaza have been suffering for months without enough supplies. So Israel is saying that yes, we will allow the humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. Next, Israel's military will partially pull back from some areas, and this will allow people in Gaza to move back to safer places. Okay, तो जो इजरायली फोर्स है, इजरायली जो मिलिट्री है, वो बहुत कुछ जगह से मूव बैक कर जाएगी, और वहाँ पर जो गाज़ा के लोग थे वो वहाँ पे आके रहने लग जाएंगे, क्योंकि वो अपने घरों से क्यों डिस्प्लेस हुए, क्योंकि वहाँ पे बॉम्बिंग हो रही थी. तो अब जब कुछ जगह से इजरायली मिलिट्री विल पुल बैक, देन द पीपल इन गाज़ा दे विल मूव बैक टू सेफर प्लेसेस. अब ये हो गया फेज 1 में. फेज 2 में क्या होगा? फेज 2 में Hamas will release more hostages, and both sides will discuss how to permanently stop the violence. ओके, कि परमानेंटली कैसे स्टॉप किया जाए, इस पे फोकस होगा. एंड देन इन फेज थ्री में क्या होगा? दिस विल फोकस ऑन द डे आफ्टर. मतलब व्हाट हैपेंस नेक्स्ट इन गाजा. So Israel wants to ensure Hamas cannot rebuild its military power. And Hamas wants Israel to leave Gaza completely. So this phase will be the hardest to achieve. क्यों? एक तो इसराइल चाहेगा कि भाई हमास अपनी जो मिलिट्री पावर है वो रीबिल्ड ना करे, राइट? और गाजा ये चाहेगा, हमास क्या चाहेगा कि इसराइल जो है गाजा को परमानेंटली और कंप्लीटली छोड़ दे. सो the third phase involves discussion on the day after, and this phase will be the hardest to achieve. और ये फेज सबसे ज्यादा मुश्किल होने वाला है. All right. Now you might be wondering, why did both sides agree to stop fighting? है ना? Students, for Hamas, after months of bombing, Gaza now is in ruins. Many of their fighters were killed and they need time to recover. So, by agreeing to this ceasefire, they can regroup while showing that they are still a powerful force. And for Israel, see, when Israel started this war, its goal was to completely destroy Hamas. But after 15 months, that hasn't happened. Instead, Hamas has turned into a stronger underground force. So the war also created, a lot of pressure on Israel's government. People in Israel were upset about the hostages and they wanted the war to end. Even अब ये देखो कि the people in Israel, they were demanding that there should be an end to this ongoing conflict. Moreover, apart from the two sides, there was also an international pressure. Countries like the US, Egypt, and Qatar, they pushed hard for this agreement. US President Joe Biden wanted to end the violence before leaving his office. And, incoming President Donald Trump also made it clear that he wanted a solution. So, Trump Apart from this, Trump also warned that if the war didn't end, it could lead to more instability in the region. So, you see, everyone is basically want this conflict to end, right? So there's also an international pressure, and more importantly, the people in Israel, they are demanding that there should be an end. And moreover, Hamas is now, although it has become what you can say a stronger force, but it has lost many of its soldiers, many of its people who were fighting. Now it needs some time to recover. So that is why they have agreed that there should be an uh, a ceasefire as of now. Now, what is the role of US and other countries? See, US played a big role in the ceasefire. While President Biden supported Israel's right to defend itself, he also pressured Israel that there should be an end in fighting and focus on rescuing hostages. So Trump's influence was also important. He publicly said that the peace needed to be achieved before he took office on January 20. So this added urgency to the talks. And other countries like Egypt and Qatar helped by hosting negotiations and communicating between Israel and Hamas. So their role was crucial in building trust between the two sides. Now, let's look at what could go wrong. See, earlier I have also mentioned that the biggest phase of this whole ceasefire agreement is the phase three. So that will be the hardest to achieve. Why? Because uh, there are certain reasons. First of all, Hamas wants Israel to leave Gaza completely. But Israel doesn't want to do that because they fear that Hamas will rebuild its military and start another war. On the other hand, we have Israel. So Israel doesn't want Hamas to remain in power. but realistically, they know Hamas is too strong to be completely defeated. पता है उनको ये भी चीज़. So both sides have broken agreements in the past. So this make it hard for them to trust each other now. अब क्या हो रहा है कि एक तो ट्रस्ट इश्यूज भी हैं. ठीक है, पास्ट में भी ऐसे ही कई बार अग्रीमेंट हुए हैं, लेकिन दोनों साइड्स ने ही वो अग्रीमेंट ब्रेक किए हैं. So phase 3 will require careful negotiation, and it might take months or even years to achieve lasting peace. Now you might be thinking, why should we care about what's happening in Gaza? Students, millions of people in Gaza are suffering and they need food, water, and safe place to live. So, this ceasefire gives them hope for a better future. And the war in Gaza affects the whole world. For example, when fighting disrupts the Red Sea, it affects global trade because a lot of trade is being carried on Red Sea. And this included the goods that we use every day. And this whole conflict is also a lesson for the future because it teaches us about the importance of dialogue and compromise. Even the toughest enemies can come to the table to negotiate if the stakes are high enough. All right. So, what's next? The focus will now be on implementing the first phase of the ceasefire. And if both sides follow through, it could create momentum for lasting peace. However, if either sides break the agreement, the firing could start again. And this is why the international community must continue to support peace efforts. Schools, organizations, and leaders around the world can also play a role by spreading awareness and helping those who are affected by conflict. So, at last, students' ceasefire in Gaza is a small step towards what? Towards peace, but it's a crucial one. And it shows us that even in the most difficult situations, solutions are possible if people are willing to work together. So let's hope for a future where no one has to live in fear and everyone can have the chance to rebuild their lives. Thank you for listening, and I hope this news podcast helped you understand the importance of what's happening in Gaza. So let's continue to stay informed and compassionate about the world around us. Bye bye, students.